Do you hear that? How does it make you feel? Content? Alive? Woeful? What about excited? Are you on the edge? Do you feel enlightened? As if the music has awakened within you a new sense of understanding of the world? A gained wisdom? It should, if you believe in the Mozart effect. Some people believe that this guy, and the power of his music, specifically his sonata in D major, which you just listened to, can actually enhance your brain's ability to think and reason. That's right. The Mozart effect is the idea that listening to Mozart's music will increase your intelligence. It doesn't matter what sex you are, your age, not even what your preference for music is. Just put it in your headphones and in an instant you could be Einstein. It makes sense, right? People who are intelligent are often musically gifted. There have been successful studies involving the Mozart effect. The majority of Americans believe that listening to music does increase one's IQ. There are plenty of Mozart effect CDs, cassettes, toys, and books that are designed to explain and enhance this phenomenon. So you think it would certainly must have some credibility. But could the Mozart effect really be as simple as cause and effect? What about the claim that a pregnant mother has the power of molding her unborn baby into a genius by simply playing them Mozart through her tummy? Can we as people be capable of changing the intellectual development of our children just through the power of sound? If so, we may have made a psychological and scientific breakthrough in unlocking the secrets about the early development of the human brain, the power of music, and the basis of intelligence. If not, then these scientists have just done a great job of giving overly concerned parents a run for their money. The first argument that is often made by proponents for the Mozart effect is that it must be real because there have been experiments proving there is. They think that because it appears as if Mozart increases intelligence, then it must. Let's take a look at their argument. The first successful experiment done on the Mozart effect was done in 1993 by researchers at the University of California, Irvine. Researchers attempted to test the effect of different listening conditions on the spatial skills of college students. Out of all the music conditions, those students who listened to Mozart, specifically the same piece that you listened to at the beginning of this talk, had the greatest improvement when it came to folding paper shapes. Experimenters found that listening to Mozart had raised their IQ scores by 8 to 9 points. There is also evidence to suggest that music, specifically Mozart's, improves a person's physical and mental health. Studies have shown that listening to music reduces epileptic seizures in children and adults with epilepsy, and that playing Mozart to premature babies results in more rapid weight gain and fewer hospitalization days than babies who aren't playing Mozart. It is also proven that children who learn to play an instrument, on the whole, have a greater spatial intelligence than children who never receive such training. Now, the Mozart effect proponents have shown us that they can whip out a few successful experiments on the effect and that music does something to us. Does this really mean that listening to Mozart can make us smarter? While it is true that there have been some successful studies regarding the Mozart effect, there have also been several experiments that have failed to replicate the original 1993 study, such as all these. And even if they have, it only showed that listening to music increased spatial ability at a temporary and minuscule level. In two credible meta-analyses of the Mozart effect, both concluded that because of all the negative and mixed evidence regarding the Mozart effect, there can be no scientific support for it. Now you may ask, but what about those experiments done that did show that listening to Mozart increased our spatial ability, even if it was by a small amount? Isn't that proof that the Mozart effect, in fact, does exist? Now let's not get ahead of ourselves. Ultimately, there have been studies to indicate that an increase in performance on spatial tasks caused by music is not actually due to increased intellectual ability, but higher levels of arousal that influence the test taker. In 1999, a study on the Mozart effect illustrated that listening to Mozart was no more effective than just listening to a passage from a scary story. Both increased your spatial skills and awareness. This experiment told us that it was preference, not music, that increased one's performance. The results showed that there were higher scores on spatial tests when the subject got to listen to either their favorite piece, a Stephen King story, or a Mozart song. So now, instead of studying, you know what to do. Either listen to classical or completely neglect everything to watch a horror movie. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, a similar experiment in Mozart was conducted in 2001, which had subjects listen to Mozart in a depressing piece and showed that those who listened to Mozart performed better on tests than ones that listened to a sad piece because they were more excited, they were more emotionally aroused. However, when the emotional effect was factored out of the experiment, it was shown that the Mozart effect did not, in fact, perform better than anyone else. There has been a series of studies that demonstrate that Mozart is able to improve performance in some people because of its calming nature. This means that listening to Mozart may have the capability to improve your test performance if you experience high anxiety, because listening to classical can calm you down. Julian Treasure, who is an expert on sound, discussed in his recent TED Talk about the various effects and sound of music have on us and our performance. He showed us in his talk that music has the capability to anger us, worry us, or simply relax us, just depending on the nature of it. While all in all, the scientific evidence against the idea that music increases our intelligence is overwhelming, believers of the Mozart effect have extended this power to the most vulnerable beings, those in the womb and those who just came out of it. Mozart effect believers, such as infamous author and musician Don Campbell, who owns the Mozart Effect Research Center, argues that playing Mozart to a baby in the womb has a tremendous effect on their intellectual development. Babies can hear in the womb. They have a preference for sound. They even have the capacity to learn. So, I'll put all in all together, this must mean that playing music increases their IQ, right? All these assumptions are true. That is, the babies have been shown to have a preference for certain sounds, such as the fact that babies prefer their mother's voice over strangers. And there is even evidence that suggests that babies remember certain sounds that were played to them during pregnancy. Mozart effect advocates suggest that time in the womb, as well as the first 3 years of a child's life, is when their brain is most vulnerable to development, most malleable by the parent's actions. Therefore, if listening to Mozart does have a small effect on spatial ability, then playing music to a child early on will have a more dramatic influence on their brain development and thus their intelligence. They have this idea that listening to music adds new neural connections in the brain and thus increases the brain's ability to adapt and change. The fundamental problem with these arguments is simple. A fetus's ability to recognize sounds, prefer certain sounds over others, and remember those sounds does not by any means mean that a baby's intelligence is actually being increased. It only means just what it says, that the babies have capacity to hear, respond, remember, and enjoy music. This doesn't mean that listening to Mozart necessarily makes them any smarter. These true findings on fetal development, combined with the general belief that there's a Mozart effect, causes parents and scientists alike to make an illusory correlation between music and brain development. In fact, there has never actually been a published study on the effects of listening to Mozart, on infants in the utero. The whole idea has just been a total fabrication that has come about by faulty connections. Another misinformed idea that is added to this incorrect assumption is the idea I mentioned earlier that most of the brain developmental process occurs early in life. Despite this belief, evidence has shown us that the brain is vulnerable for our whole life, not just at our young age. So parents, no need to worry. Our environment and experiences have been shown to impact our brain throughout most of our lifespan. So there's no reason to try to rush and try to alter your kids' brains. Unfortunately, while parents are too busy worrying about what Mozart piece they're going to play to their baby tonight, they are overlooking crucial factors that actually do have effect on fetal brain development, such as how much the mother smokes, how much she drinks, if she's had a urinary tract infection, the range of vitamins she takes, how much protein is in her diet, etc. Problems in these factors during a woman's pregnancies have been correlated with lower IQ scores of a child later in life. While not all music, it is nutrition and overall health of the mother that can have a tremendous effect on the condition of the female brain. Let's keep in mind, though, that it has been shown that intelligence is around 50% genetic and that the state of a fetus's intellectual health depends on more than prenatal care and can range in severity based on the mother's actions. So with all this evidence out there that indicates there is no existence of the Mozart effect on people of any age, why are humans still so inclined to buy into it? The primary problem is that with illusory correlation. The Mozart effect believers see these crucial things: the benefits in physical and mental health due to music, a correlation between a higher IQ and those who play an instrument, the idea that the unborn remember and respond to sounds. Although all these ideas are not related to the idea that listening to music increases your IQ, they seem to be. And thus, people fabricate a connection in their minds between positive physical development, spatial intelligence, and Mozart, even though no such evidence exists. As Michael Shermer, who is the founder of Skeptic magazine, explained in his TED Talk, The Pattern Behind Self-Deception, we as humans are naturally prone to seek causality, even when it doesn't exist. We are essentially pattern-seeking animals that seek out connections for our own survival. This over-detection of correlation, though, even if it may be a simple and natural way of thinking, leads us to make faulty and invisible connections we have seen as that with the Mozart effect. Also, we cannot estimate the popular and widespread belief of the existence of the Mozart effect. Surveys have shown that a vast majority of Americans, 80%, are familiar with the Mozart effect, and that a majority of introductory psychology students believe that listening to Mozart will actually increase your intelligence. The Mozart effect industry has grown to be a $100 million enterprise, and the former governor of Georgia once allotted $100,000 of the state budget just to provide classical music CDs to every baby born in the state. Now that is a good way to decrease the deficit. Even notable figures such as Bill Clinton and Billy Joel have endorsed the existence of the Mozart effect. It is also clear that the widespread acceptance of the pseudoscience has an effect on its popularity. This stems from two primary logical fallacies. The first is an appeal to the masses, which is a logical fallacy that occurs when people believe something to be true just because the majority of people believe it's true. The second is something called an appeal to authority fallacy. It's the belief that something is true just because a well-known figure or expert says it is. Because of our ability to be easily swayed and pressured into believing something by society, it is easy to understand why so many people would put their faith into something like the Mozart effect. So, why does this all even matter? Well, first of all, consistently playing music to a baby, especially at a high level, isn't good for the baby. Not only is it ineffective on the child's intellectual growth, but there is evidence to suggest that this may actually hurt them. It has been shown by animal studies that stimulating the fetus too much with music that is too loud can actually destroy the infant's ability to hear sounds in a particular range. So, not only are mothers diverting their attention from prenatal care methods that are not going to make or shape the baby, such as the Mozart effect, they are drawing their attention to a practice that may actually jeopardize the baby's health. The real issue with the Mozart problem is just that. It is more dangerous to use methods of care that are not proven or may injure the baby, rather than methods that are scientifically proven to have a positive effect on the infant. Focusing on the Mozart effect may also cause the mother to pay too close attention to the music she's going to play to her child, rather than her own health and nutrition. Forgetting to eat lunch a day or not realizing you were sick will have a much more of an impact on your baby's health, considering the decision whether you're going to play Mozart or Bach to bed tonight. Moreover, millions of dollars are coming from the government as well as the average American pocket on the Mozart effect products that are just simply ineffective. Instead of investing into useless CDs, videos, and toys that are designed to increase a baby's intelligence, money could be spent on programs that are actually beneficial to the child's health and development. While I've portrayed the Mozart effect in a humorous light tonight, this belief is actually one that could have serious consequences if it continues to affect Americans and the rest of the world. The Mozart effect represents a dangerous pseudoscience that not only has the potential to damage our society, but those individuals who don't have a choice what they do with their own bodies. The ignorance of the Mozart effect and its ability to diverge people from true and helpful science as it deals with prenatal care is an issue that will affect us all in the upcoming generations. So don't be a... and inform yourself. Thank you.